Good YouTube, it's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV back at y'all with another one. So, two-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showtime Shawn Porter, he weighs in on the mega massive showdown that just came out of the blue between legendary 8-division world champion, Filipino iconic superstar boxer Manny Pacquiao and a rival of his, a guy he fought in undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. With that said, Shawn Porter, he says he didn't want to get too deep in on this fight, but he feels like it's going to be a hard-fought fight, and he alluded to the fact that he could possibly be leaning to Errol Spence Jr. to win the fight, but he don't believe that it'll be an easy fight for Errol Spence at all whatsoever by no stretch of the imagination. But what he did weigh in on is he stated that the WBA, the sanction body, they made a grave mistake by putting Manny Pacquiao in champion in recess after not being inactive for the better part of 2 years since he defeated then undefeated unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer. He defeated Keith one-time Thurman, July of 2019, to become the WBA champion. But due to the global pandemic and due to the fact that Manny Pacquiao was inactive, the WBA, they made him champion in recess, and they elevated the regular champion, Yordenis Ugas, Cuban star boxer, to super champion. And now Shawn Porter says they made a huge mistake because a fight of this magnitude, on this scale, you want to be recognized. You want to be seen. So he says that it's no doubt the WBA is going to have to reinstate Manny Pacquiao, and this is going to be a unification bout with 3 belts on the line, 3 of the 4 major sanction bodies on the line. This could be very, very interesting, as should Errol Spence win this fight, the biggest fight in the sport of boxing is Errol Spence versus undefeated 3-division world champion, who's currently the WBO welterweight world champion and widely considered by many to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence "Bud" Crawford. So now Errol Spence, he beats Manny Pacquiao. Well, then he wouldn't have to look to face Yordenis Ugas to pick up that title, because he could pick it up through this Manny Pacquiao fight. And the fight with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford is for undisputed after this Manny Pacquiao fight, sooner than we thought. So with that said, he said that WBA, they moved too fast. I don't believe they moved too fast, because it has been 2 years, and Manny Pacquiao was indecisive of what direction he wanted to go in. It was talks that Manny Pacquiao could be facing lightweight Mexican superstar title contender King Ryan Garcia, which that proved not to be true, obviously. There was talks that Manny Pacquiao, he was looking to face off against UFC legendary iconic superstar Conor McGregor, but Conor McGregor, he lost his rematch, his highly anticipated rematch in his own respective sport, in his own respective discipline in the UFC and mixed martial arts against Dustin Poirier. He was knocked out in the fight. Now he happens to be going into a trilogy match. But the WBA, when they got wind that Manny Pacquiao could possibly look to stage a showdown against Conor McGregor, the WBA, well, they told Manny Pacquiao if he did pursue that avenue, they were going to relieve him of the world title because they wanted him to defend the title against somebody in the top 10 ranking system. Then he was linked to Terrence Crawford, unification showdown at the time. It would have been on two separate occasions, but that fell through. In November, it seemed to be Terrence Crawford. That fell through, and then there was talks that it could be June 5th of 2021, and that fell through. With that said, the WBA, then they acted and they stated that, well, we're going to have to relieve you as champion and put you in champion at recess, okay? So with that said, is Shawn Porter, he says, well, when you make him a champion in recess, that means when he comes back to school, he resumes and picks up where he left off. So the fact that he's going to be facing another world champion, the WBA is going to have to reinstate him as the world champion, super world champion. And we know that the WBA rules said as long as you can provide legitimate proof, valid proof that you had an issue that prevented you from defending the sanction body, the belt, against somebody in the top 10 of their ranking system, then they could put him in champion of recess and reinstate him. And obviously, Manny Pacquiao being the Senate in the Philippines, and obviously Manny Pacquiao, and as well as the rest of the world dealing with a global pandemic, well, he didn't have a choice, okay? He was linked to 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia as well. And Mikey Garcia is ranked number 4 in the WBA ranking system. But Mikey Garcia said there was 2 offers made to him, but he wasn't happy with what he received, what landed on his table. He wasn't unwilling to sign it. And so in a shocking turn of events, we get an announcement that Manny Pacquiao will be facing Errol Spence Jr. And Shawn Porter says he saw it come out of nowhere as well. Nobody saw this in play. So Shawn Porter, he stated that the fact that this came out of nowhere, it surprised him. But he says not just the fact that he is currently active in the welterweight division. He is an analyst within the sport of boxing. He says he's excited as a fan because this is going to be action-packed. He believes that you put Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence in the ring, it's going to be action-packed. And he stated that, it's going to be a hard-fought fight either which way. So he said he didn't truly want to delve deep into it, but it was interesting his take on the WBA and the fact that the WBA is definitely going to have to reinstate Manny Pacquiao as the champion, because we saw on BoxRec just yesterday, BoxRec had labeled him this about as a WBA being on the line. So they had it, they listed as the WBA belt was going to be on the line. Now, maybe that was a little premature on the part of the BoxRec, but everybody expects the WBA to reinstate Manny Pacquiao as the champion. And Shawn Porter, he said that he could possibly now be looking to pursue a showdown, a rematch with Yordenis Ugas. He beat Yordenis Ugas just before he went in his unification bout with Errol Spence Jr. And a lot of people, they thought that Yordenis Ugas won the fight. Shawn, he fought in a manner, Shawn Porter, he fought in a manner that most people were not familiar with when it comes to Shawn Porter. We used to Shawn Porter being very aggressive, a lot of pressure, being physical. That's not his choice of style that he chose to fight Yordenis Ugas back in March of 2019, which he got a split decision victory over Yordenis Ugas. He chose to outbox Yordenis Ugas from the outside, okay? And now he's saying that he could possibly look to face off against Yordenis Ugas. He said it's interesting because many people thought that he lost that fight to Yordenis Ugas, and he said he wanted to come back in July. Now Yordenis Ugas is looking for an opponent, and if Yordenis Ugas is relieved of the super champion and he's reinstated as the regular champion, and Manny Pacquiao's reinstated as the super champion, well, that means Yordenis Ugas is going to become the mandatory challenger for the winner of this fight. And Shawn Porter sees it as an opportunity for himself. So he's saying that he wants to maybe run it back with Yordenis Ugas, thus, clarifying any confusion or any, skeptics that anybody that believed that Ugas won the fight, right the wrong, clearly win the fight, okay? Now, we know also Keith Thurman, he's looking for a fight against Yordenis Ugas, but I think more so Keith Thurman was looking to face off against Yordenis Ugas because he was elevated to the super champion, and Keith Thurman saw an opportunity to put himself back in a championship contention and be able to put himself back in position to fight Errol Spence. That was the initial super fight in the welterweight division, but Keith Thurman, he let the opportunity slip by, and he ended up losing to Manny Pacquiao. So with that said, Keith Thurman is not in the picture anymore. So Keith Thurman is looking to place himself back in that position, back in, title contention. So he's looking maybe to fight Yordenis Ugas and become the mandatory challenger. Who knows if they would, Errol Spence, we already know Errol Spence says he has zero interest in facing off against Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman strung him along for so many years and didn't give him an opportunity at the world title or to unify the division. Keith Thurman continued to say that he was pushing it off. It was going to be a super fight down the line. Errol Spence wasn't happy with that. So Errol Spence said he refuses to fight Keith Thurman. Now, Errol Spence, like I said, if this is a unification bout and Manny Pacquiao is reinstated as the WBA champion and Errol Spence beats him, well, the fight that the fans are going to call for at that point in time is him and Terrence Crawford as it's already the super fight in the sport of boxing, and now it will be for undisputed. And Terrence Crawford has been looking to secure a showdown with Manny Pacquiao for the better part of 6 years and was unable to do so. So this will put Terrence Crawford in a position to get the super fight that he's looking for, and it's an undisputed match, and it gives Terrence Crawford the opportunity to be a two-division undisputed world champion, and it's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. So there's a lot on the line. As Shawn Porter stated, the fact that this fight was made, it opened everything wide up, right? Why everything in the division is wide open now. Now, we know Shawn Porter was looking to face off against Terrence Crawford, but it seems like Terrence Crawford doesn't have much interest. And we saw legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter of Terrence Crawford. He stated that, there's no money for Shawn Porter and Terrence Crawford. Who's going to put up the money is what he said. So we see there's little to no interest there for Shawn Porter. So we got to see how this plays out. But Shawn Porter expects Manny Pacquiao to be reinstated. And the mega fight between Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao has just gotten bigger. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. Make sure you hit the like button. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.